Okay, thank you. Last class, okay, for today. It's been a long day, but actually I think everything's gone pretty well so far, and everybody seems like they're really staying awake, which is a real big thing here too. Okay, when Edie and I got together for this, we originally had thought about this as more like, chapter managers, growing their chapter, etc. And it's like, this really is a much bigger topic than that, because every single person, what we're really trying to do is everyone grow. It's with the things that we're doing, and that's really what we're going to start with here, is we want everybody to really think about what they can do. So when you start rescue, when you very first started, I want to help bunnies. Okay, what was your idea? What was your thought? Did you think, well, I like this bunny, I found this bunny, and I'm going to take care of this bunny? Or were you thinking, there's an awful lot of stuff out there with cats and dogs, but rabbits are the third most abandoned pet in the country. I really love rabbits. What can I do for them? So you had to have some kind of idea, usually when you're starting out, but you really want to expand that. What kind of goal do you really want, okay? So a bunch of just different pictures here, but look at the future. What do you envision happening? What do you envision yourself doing? What do you envision yourself accomplishing? Okay, it's really important to have those things down. So this was, is kind of, again, a thought process as you go along. So you've got to have a goal. And the goal is not necessarily, like I said, oh, I want to save rabbits. Okay, well, that's really a desire. It's not necessarily a goal. Okay, you haven't really pinned it down. Well, I want to save more rabbits. Well, this is good. Okay, but it's really not enough. So something that you can, measurable is actually best. But here, I want to save more rabbit lives each year. Find them living indoor homes. Educate people about them and their proper care, and sustain this goal into the future. Well, now you really have a goal. Then how do you accomplish it? Okay. So now we've got going into things like that. All right, you've got to get a means to get there. You need to grow, and I don't care whether you are an individual working by yourself or already an established chapter. One of the things that we've talked about with our board, for example, is you are a business model. Whether you really are a single person, again, or a full chapter, this is a business. If you are not growing, you are dying. Okay, it's that simple. So there is no such thing as like status quo. If you're just okay. A real good, example of that is Kodak camera. How many people have Kodak cameras now? They were very, very comfortable with what they were doing and where the niche that they filled, and everything bypassed them right on by. So you can't just sit there. All right, so the more you grow, the better your ability to meet your goal. In order to grow, however, you have to have a vision, okay? They do go hand in hand. So, one of the things that really helps, and it really truly does, is put it in writing. Once it becomes down there, in writing, it becomes a lot more real. And you're going, okay. So writing it down provides a sense of reality. Writing it down reminds you of your goal. It can prevent you from getting sidetracked. You might have to go back and look at that. What are these things that I want to accomplish? It lets you revisit your goal, because nothing is written in stone either. It could be as you go along, it's like, if I do it this way, it might be a little bit better. Because you're also going to be learning as you're growing. So writing it down lets you make adjustments, just an invention. It can get you there faster. And that's one of the things I wish that we had done, when we were starting, some of us, the chapters. You didn't think too much about some of these things. You just kind of jumped in there and started doing things. But could you have accomplished more a lot faster if you actually wrote down those goals and actually started working at accomplishing them? Okay, plan in increments. Okay, you can't just jump to having, this huge shelter building or something of that nature. That's not going to help you, and you're not going to be learning in the process. So you also need to plan steps. So once you've got that goal, plan it in increments. What do you want to accomplish in 6 months? Where do you want to be next year? And literally think about those things. What can I do between now and then? Legitimately. What do I envision for 5 years, 20 years? What do I envision? Do I want something that's going to last beyond me? Something that helps out there for the long term. Okay, this is one of the things that we came across is like, this is really a good way of handling things. You want it to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. All right, specific. What do we or I want to accomplish specifically? Come on. All right. Some people prefer to have a network of foster homes. And you can't see too well, but there's little bunnies in all of those windows, okay? So, and this can work really well, in a whole network of foster homes. You could have a few, you could have a lot. Just depends on what you want. Do you want to work with the shelter? Some people find that it's more of a comfort zone to help with the shelter instead of having their own setup. I will go in there and I will talk to their adopters. I can, help tell people about rabbit care. I can encourage rabbit adoptions. So that's one way of handling it. There are places where that really is the way you need to go. I mean, if you think about, say, being in New York City, okay, it would be pretty tough to have your own shelter, in New York City, and there's other shelters that are out there. You may need to really work with something like this versus, having this in your own place. On the other hand, if you have your own place, you are in control of the rabbits in your care. That's one good thing about doing them yourselves. Okay, do you want a permanent shelter building? How big? How small? Maybe it's like, okay, I have a plan where I want to be able to at least have 25 rabbits. And you have some places, oh well, no, I want to have 200 rabbits. So it just depends. What do you really think about this? What your goal? Because part of what you're working towards is getting one of those things if that's what your goal is. Okay, measurable. Well, let's drop that off. Okay, kind of like that. Plan ahead. All right, what's needed? Steps to get there. You want to measure. You have to have tangible evidence of reaching your goals. Let's go back too far. Okay, so a timeline. Again, look at that timeline. Money. How much do I need to get to each step? How many people do I need for each step? And am I meeting the steps for reaching that goal? Because every one of those steps, are mini goals, is going to have steps for getting there. Okay, attainable. All right. Goals should be challenging but achievable. Okay. They need to be defined well enough that you can attain them. So if you just go out and go, by next year, I want to have saved 10,000 rabbits. Okay? That's a really worthwhile goal, but is it attainable for you? Maybe for somebody else, but is it attainable for you? So set a realistic goal, because when you meet your goals, it's a wonderful feeling and you're accomplishing something. When you fail at meeting those goals and you're backtracking and trying to figure out what you want to do, it's not quite as, as heartening. The morale is a little bit harder to build up. So make sure it is something you really can, have that possibility of attaining. Okay, how far do you want to go? Well, okay. So we've got, do I want to work with, just a few foster homes? Do I want to work with a whole internet or setup of shelters? Lots of shelters. I can save a lot of bunnies that way. Do I want my little building? Do I want my bigger building? Do I want this building? Okay, there's my thousands of bunnies. Okay, and the funny thing is as I was tootling around San Diego a couple of days ago, I saw that building. I pulled that off of the internet, and it's like, wow, there's the building. Okay, so relevant. Okay, focus on your goal. And remember, you have a goal. We've got the losing side of it means you accomplish little or nothing at all. So take this example. I want to save a couple of bunnies. Okay, that's a great goal. I want to save more bunnies. Great goal. Well, cats need saving too. So maybe we should save a few cats. Yeah. Oh, we need clean water for the world. What happened to the bunnies? Okay? And are you really accomplishing any of those goals? So, if you want to save cats, that's what you need to be doing. If you want to work on clean water for the world, that's what you need to be doing. But focus on those things. If you want to save bunnies, focus on saving bunnies, okay? And just a little thing, I've had people go, well, okay, they're just rabbits. They're not as important as cats or dogs. It's like, that's a relevant question. A lot of people really, really love bunnies, okay? Well, what about working with children? That's more important. My skill set happens to be working with animals. I love children, but I'm not particularly good at working with them. So I'm going to do something where I can make a difference. And when I'm working with animals, I'm also working with people, okay? So you can kind of work through some of these things, but if you're focused, if you love bunnies and that's where your compassion is, that's where you want to have your focus. Okay, time bound. This is simply giving yourself, a goal time-wise so that you actually try to work at meeting those goals instead of just letting it slide. Oh, well, I wanted to, have 2 shelters lined up by this time, but I didn't have time for it, Okay, so that's kind of like something. So if you say by the 30th of next month, I want to have 2 more shelters that I've contacted. They know I exist. They know that we rescue bunnies. And of course, again, you always have to keep in mind, if you got sick, yes, that may be put off a week. But as far as having a goal, you put your goal down in writing, and that is at least keeping you on track. Okay, going back with it, I said, if you achieved your goals, if I worked with 3 shelters, if I attained my 1-year goal, adopting out 100 rabbits, if I am on track for my 5-year goal, paying off that mortgage, whatever that goal happens to be, and each of you, like I said, are setting it yourself, it's an important factor. Okay. All right, some of the steps to grow and achieve that goal. Okay, find like-minded people, building a relationship with your local shelters and expand. Building a relationship with your rabbit-savvy veterinarian. We're going to go through these, so I'm not going to go through each one of these at this point here, because we'll go through some of this. Okay, finding some like-minded people. People who share a passion, push for a common goal, okay? You can't do it alone. Again, if you are a single person and you want to, increase, and say, I want to rescue, 50 rabbits within the next 3 years. I'm all by myself. That might be a realistic goal. What if you have 2 or 3 other people helping you that have the same passion that you do for bunnies, have that same goal? If you can gather people like you and work together, you can maybe double or triple that goal that you have. Okay. Finding people, you can post notices at your vet's offices, at various shelters, your Facebook. The group started out, our group started out as a little tiny group of about 5 people getting together here. Social media, both yours and on your veterinarian hospital. If you work with a veterinarian who works well with you, they might let you, post something on, or post it for you on their Facebook page. Okay. Set a meeting time, get together, discuss what you want to do. Set mini goals. Again, we want to pull 4 bunnies to foster, because you can't go and just do that leap ahead. Develop a short-term plan, because that helps you feeling like you have accomplished something, and you have accomplished something. Disperse duties. Who will do what? Okay, one person can't do every single thing. So one person may work with the veterinarian, one person may be a liaison with the shelter. One person may handle some administrative duties. So all of these things, one person, as we go along, might be working on trying to get that 501c3. Monitor your progress, get together frequently to make sure you're staying on track. Do you want to be an independent rescue? Do you want to become an HRS chapter? Again, this is a goal that you can only decide for yourself. What is the thing that you really want to do? And we got a serious person, or funny person here. It's like, so again, people that have like minds. Okay. Like I said, hope you were paying attention. You know, we had that class. Okay, same thing. You don't need to repeat all this. Hopefully you don't. All right, so have a plan in place for excellent rabbit care. Ann just touched base on this in the class that was upstairs. Be sure everybody's on the same page. They're doing the same thing. Be sure everyone fostering knows your plans for medical care. You know, if you aren't reachable and they've got a sick bunny, don't have them in a panic because they can't reach you. They need to know what the protocol is. The same thing goes true with your veterinarian. Yeah. In our case, you know, our veterinarian knows that any foster in our system can call her, set up an appointment, whether it be for a wellness exam or in an emergency, and she knows exactly how far we go, whether it's blood work, you know, any of that type of thing. She knows exactly what we will do. Maintain your records. Okay, building up your volunteers. Okay, one of your best sources really are your adopters. The vast majority of our volunteers are our adopters. They came in, they saw how much we cared about bunnies, they learned a great deal from us, they saw what we were trying to accomplish, and they said, you know, we'd like to help. And it has just exponentially grown. But let it be known in other places that, you know, that you want volunteers, your social media, your newsletters, your e-newsletters, your volunteer match. That's a great resource, you know, to bring in some additional people. One-on-one, talking with people. Match your volunteers with their skills or preference, okay? If you have a person who does not know anything about computers, you do not set them up as your Facebook page person, okay? You know, if you have somebody who is 16, you don't set them up as your Facebook person. They may really know Facebook, but you don't really want them handling that for you. Let them know they're appreciated, okay? And we do have a volunteer class coming up tomorrow. Okay, my very favorite quote, you know, which is from an unknown, but never underestimate the value of volunteers. Noah's Ark was built by volunteers. The Titanic was built by professionals. Okay, your volunteers again, match them up where they want. We have one lady who actually likes to come in and do laundry. No cage cleaning, but she likes to do laundry. Yay! Okay. You know, so cleaning, you know, nail trims, you know, photography, helping at our front desk. We have one guy who just, I mean, we say there's a loose bunny at such and such a corner. He's out there, and he's got a whole crew working with him to help catch those bunnies. Build a strong and committed board. Again, you'll get, you know, copies of all of this. But you want to have a board that is all working together, that they have the same mission, that they're willing to grow, and even provide succession planning. If you want that organization that you build to continue on in the future, you've got to have succession planning, okay? Outreach and education, helping your organization get better known. Educational events open to the public, raise awareness and spread information. Adoption events, like consistent, bring recognition. Fundraisers bring in money. Your social media can spread outreach and education. Okay, community events, we're going to go through some of these pictures very quickly. So you can have events that are specifically for educational purposes. This is one we do every spring because it's timed right when about those people are wanting to dump those little Easter bunnies. But a lot of times they want to keep them, but that bunny's spraying or what have you, and they come in and they get education, and they're able to keep that bunny. Sometimes just getting known. We have we've been to events where it had nothing to do with adoptions at all. A retirement home for children that with healthcare issues. This particular one over here is actually teaching vet tech students at a college. So we have a class that we do that for. Adoption events. As we've been consistently doing PetSmart adoption events, we found that now people are looking for us to be there. Sometimes they will even call and say they've looked on our book, Our adoption list is such and such a bunny going to be at that event. Well, we know that person's looking at that bunny, you know. And we don't do same-day adoptions, and our adopters really are okay with that. But we are at these events, and we do a ton of education. So between growing adoptions and getting that education out there, we pull in a lot of numbers this way as well. Okay, your fundraisers, you know, that's, you know, income coming in. Even though this has nothing to do with, you know, teaching people about bunnies, they know they're coming because it's a fundraiser for us. So we're always saying a few words. And of course, we do end up with bunnies who get themselves adopted. People just can't help it.
Or request.
Yeah. Okay, social media, spreading the word. You know, Edie's going to get into this a little bit more. But use your Facebook. We had, you know, some cases recently here. And let's see, okay, well, we don't have all of those on there, I don't think. Let me go back here to this. Okay. I did have some other pictures up here.
Hey, Joy, that slide, that screen and this screen we're showing two different things for the slide you were just talking about. One had numbers on it.
Okay, what screens? Okay.
See that?
Well, that's the next screen for this one. Okay, I went backwards on this one. We ended up with, normally we can handle an individual bunny coming in that's in bad shape. You've heard about the different ones. And I thought I had the slides up here for this one. It's probably in another one, but we had one little bunny come in with 2 broken front legs. Both of them broken. One bunny came in and had been tossed out of a car. The gals would walk in at 8 o'clock at night. Bunny's tossed out of the car. Busy street. Rips off an ear. He's got road rash on his back. Another bunny that had to have a leg amputated. One that come in with dog bites and degloved leg. All of a sudden, this was a lot at one time, and we went out onto our Facebook and said, we need help. We've got all of these bunnies that came in, and people donate, and it's amazing what happens with people do have compassion out there. Edie's going to be talking a little bit more on some more of this stuff, especially since I'm not quite sure why this doubled up like this. Yeah. Okay. So that one, yeah, looks it's completely different over there. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have you, because we're actually, should we go down to this other one and we can come back and you can pick up on it. Okay. Talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Okay? You've got to get your message out, no matter how you're doing it. Talking in person, if you get an advantage of talking at an event, this particular time, sometimes the bunnies talk for you. Okay, this particular event was just, they wanted me to talk about bunnies as pets. It's just to a generic, animal crowd. I turned the bunny loose on the stage.
My bunny. Yeah.
Actually, this bunny this was, yeah. Bunny is now adopted, but yes, and talk about attitude, and I did have to watch the cords on there. But we had people walking around, there were dogs walking around, he didn't care. I was like, yeah, what do you want? And, so all we did was try to make sure that he wasn't, jumping down and, taking off. Because, listen, you have the right animal, they can sell everything for you. So let me go back up to this one, and Edie, let me go ahead and have you come up and take over.
I'll take it. Thank you. In 1998, Edie Sayeg became involved in saving the lives of rabbits when she adopted her first rabbit from the newly formed Georgia House Rabbit chapter. It changed her life. For the next 20 years, Edie worked to find ways to save as many bunny lives as possible. She put her business communications degree to work, developing a business model that helped grow and expand the Georgia HRS chapter. With a dedicated network of incredible volunteers, Georgia HRS built the first permanent facility for rescued rabbits in the Southeast. Edie, now plans on spending the next 20 years saving as many more bunny lives as possible.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. Well, we can actually go back a slide and see if I can manage this a little bit and talk a little bit about the social media. We just put it there because it was actually, and I don't know why the slide did that, it actually went with what she was saying, and also what you heard today from Ann in her class, and I think you'll even probably hear more in some others tomorrow, because it's so very, very important to get your social media down right. There's certain ways you can share it. You want to be able to tell their stories, and we're going to talk about that just a little bit. Sharing, you cannot share enough on social media. Ann said today, if you can only do one, do Facebook, but if you can do all, do all. Absolutely. And you want to share 3-to-1 ratio to every ask. Don't ask for donations all the time. Share interesting things, interesting stories, interesting videos. She said today is really important, absolutely, to get more out of your social media. Ask people to share their bunny photos. Get your adopters to send in. Do your gotcha days and your adoption day photos. People love those, and it goes a long way to building relationships. That is the main thing you're going to want to be doing. We're going to talk about telling the stories and finding ways to give thanks too that are going to be very important with your social media. So we're going to get into what I'm going to talk about now. Okay, get ready to start building the future that you want. You have set your goals. You have done your business plan. You have done all the basic stuff. You've got your organizational stuff and your legal stuff all pat, and you're ready to go. You've set your goal. You know what you want. So what is it going to take to become sustainable? What are you going to need to do? Well, the first step to getting anywhere is deciding you're no longer willing to stay where you are. You've got to take the first leap like that guy did. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. If you want something different, you've got to do something different. So how do we go about doing that? What does sustainable look like to you? It can be many different things. In Joy's talk, she mentioned a network of foster homes. In Atlanta, there's a group called Angels Among Us that rescues dogs and cats. And they bring in millions of dollars a year with a network of foster homes. They have no facility, don't have any desire to have a facility, and they're doing an amazing job. They have a great presence on social media, and they have a great communication system, website, etc. It can be done, but you may want, bunnies are a little different. We don't have the same status in society as dogs and cats, and people don't know how to care for a bunny as easy as they do a dog or a cat. So we have a little more of a challenge, and some of us may want a facility. We may dream of that. And if you do, as some of us have done, San Diego here you've seen has done it, St. Louis, we did it in Atlanta, Ohio, I think we have people from Ohio here that have done it. And now Connie Cowan is building a rabbit center for Alabama Rabbit Rescue. So it's happening in our country. You can do it too. What is it going to take? Having your own facility can actually bring in a lot of your operating income through, as Ann mentioned today too, a fully stocked store. That starts bringing in a lot of income, and she gave you a lot of details about how to do that. You can do that without having a facility, just through a network of foster homes. Also, getting, like San Diego started off here with just a store, and it started bringing in income, and one thing can lead to another. Boarding and grooming bring in money. Boarding brings in a lot of money. That's our biggest, probably, income from the center. And grooming is a necessary service that you can give to your adopters in your community. So all of these can be done through a facility, so much easier than out of your network of foster homes. It also becomes an access point where people can come and see the rabbits, see what you do, see how to care for them, which is so important in what we do. We find on average that this business model can bring in 40 to sometimes 50% of your operating income, and that pays for the facility. So it's worth dreaming about. What's the number one thing you're going to need to do this though? Money, right? and lots of it. So how are you going to get that money? This is what everything we're doing here is really about. It's what it boils down to. To be sustainable, to grow your organization, to do anything you want to do, it's going to take funding. Those, as the vet says, those spays and neuters don't come real cheap, and we have that relationship to think about also. So we're time limited today. I can't talk much. I gotta end it because I know you're hungry. And so we're only gonna touch on these 5 things. But the first one, I think, is probably the most important. Get help. Because there's lots of help out there. But when I Googled, oh wait, no, I went past one, didn't I? Get help. When I Googled fundraising, there was 135 million hits on my browser. That's a lot of information about fundraising. It's out there, folks. All you gotta do is pull up those 135 million hits if you're gonna know a whole lot of stuff, right? Well, I don't have the patience for that. So I found a gal that helped me. I met her at the Best Friends Conference in Atlanta several years ago. Was really impressed with her and what she did. And so I signed up for her programs. They're very affordable. She's given me permission to give you a lot of her info today. In fact, she said, you can give me anything you want. So I thought that was really kind of her. And so I've included some templates from her stuff here today. But all of it, you can read about her at getfullyfunded.com. And I especially want you to look at this, the ARF Club. It's a very affordable program. It's about $40 a month. You can have up to 5, I think up to 5 of your team members on it. You sign up for a year, and she does webinars, live webinars, recorded. She gives you virtually all of her information through that year. Templates, she gives you one-on-one, you have feedback. It's an amazing program. You can learn a lot. The thing is, you've got to invest your time into it. It takes time to learn these processes, but there's help out there for folks. If you don't, I mean, she's not the only one. There are many others. Classy.org is a great website-based fundraising. I've looked at that, and also when we were first considering building this center, animal shelter fundraising was about the only one that I knew of out there that really had great programs. Tim Crum, many of you may have used them or not, I don't know. My dream I would have loved to have used them, but they were very expensive. We could not afford it as much as I wanted to. That was just not a reality. But if you can, it's a great, great investment in your future. Second, when you're hearing this as a theme throughout this whole conference, create a strong communication plan. It's one of the most important foundations of your growth. First of all, a very well-maintained and current website. Maintained is the key word there, folks. Don't put a website up there and not go and update it daily, if you can, but no less than weekly. Keep those bunnies updated. Keep people coming back. Make it interesting. It's not out of date. A good current, get one of the Wix, the easy ones to do, so that anyone on your team virtually can do it. They're not hard nowadays. Just a little bit of work and it can be done. Ann went through a lot of this about the e-newsletter, your internal communications. I also want you to really kind of understand the difference between internal communications and external, because we're going to talk about both of those, and they're both extremely important for driving donor relations. And we'll go through each one of these. The e-newsletter, the MailChimp, constant contact. Super, super great way to communicate with your donors, major donors, volunteers, adopters, everyone that's interested in you. There's also, some people are saying, don't do print anymore. There's been some backlash on that your major donors come today from the greatest generation and the baby boomers. That's where the bigger bucks are. And some of them don't really like the technology of all of this stuff. They just don't want to do it. They can do it. They don't want to do it. So why not invest in a simple newsletter? Doesn't have to be much. Doesn't have to be terribly expensive. Doesn't have to take a lot of time, but that you can communicate with them on a regular basis. One of the things here that I meant to put in, and I think I forgot, was, and it was touched on earlier with Ann, a strong database where you can even keep up with who is your greatest generation, who's your baby boomers, and then you can just send them the print newsletter, save money. Because trust me, the millennials, they don't care anything about it. It's going to go in the garbage. But don't forget, you want to reach these other people. So understand your different generations, and a database can certainly help you with that. We're going to talk a lot about donor, major donor, doctor, volunteer, member relationships. Your whole communication plan is built around developing those relationships because they're who fund what you do. In any way they do it, whether it's money, time, support, buying stuff from you, they're funding what you're doing. And you need to communicate with them. We talked about social media, speaking. Joy touched on that, which is so important. Learn to do that. Now, external communications. Talk a little bit about that because I think Dawn's going to go into it a lot more tomorrow. And I'm just going to touch briefly on it. You need to learn how to tell your stories, which we're going to talk about, and you need to learn how to pitch to the media. It's so important. It's not hard. It's basically, you can Google assignment desks for every TV station in your local community, and numbers will come up. You make a phone call to the assignment desk, and you have a story, and they can be out there in just a few minutes. It's pretty darn amazing to see how that works. You want to develop the relationships, especially those that are in smaller communities, develop the relationships with your reporters and your TV stations, your print media, whatever. Take a reporter to lunch if you get the opportunity, or coffee. Tell them you're there to help them, and what can you do? That can go a long way to getting donations through having the media follow you in your stories. Your story matters. And I like this slide because it's a lot of fun. And I'm going to tell you a little story myself. When I first did this with Sandy, she said, who can tell me what you do? Come on, just give me your quick elevator speech. And I had one. Oh, I was so excited to raise my hand. I said, we are a 501c3. We rescue abused, abandoned, neglected, domestic house rabbits. We foster and we find. And she said, stop. Boring. And I went, what? I was so crushed. Okay, I was boring. I was so proud of that. You know, worked at hours. And she said, cut it in half. And I said, well, I guess we rescue rabbits and we educate. Whew, no. Can you tell me what you do in 6 words or less? Now, we don't have time to go through the exercise today. Right down here, she goes through it right there at that podcast. And on the next slide, we've got it in writing. But I'm just going to ask anyone in here, would you like to tell me in 6 words or less what you do? Someone? Anyone?
I save rabbit lives.
Bingo! She needs a prize. Awesome. Absolutely right. She saves rabbit lives. She saves the lives of rabbits. You can even shorten it to 40 words. I mean, to four words. 4 words. I save bunny lives. You know, it works. What happens instead of, we're a 501c3, we say, blah, blah, we save bunny lives, and they go, what? What? That's interesting. How do you do that? Why do you do that? Why do they need to be saved? They start asking you all these questions when you just say those simple words. And then, eventually, once you've engaged them, you can build a relationship with more information. And I'll be glad to answer any questions afterwards, but I better go through it, okay? Thank you. I want you to think more about this because telling your story is important, and also telling the rabbits' stories are very, very important. That's just your template. You read that later. As everyone else is doing, we're emailing you this presentation. You'll have all the information. Okay, the rabbit stories. I know all of you have seen the graphic stories, and it's been debated ad infinitum about, do we show what we do and turn away people? Do we show the graphic? Or do we just act like we really don't rescue rabbits virtually on the brink of death, if not dead, whatever? Or do we just give them the little good stuff? You want to do both. It's really important to learn how to do it right. Yes, if you're going to do something graphic, be sure to give a warning. That never will hurt, absolutely. But show, maybe not the worst of the worst, but show what you do. If you don't tell people and show them what you do, they don't know. And they will never know. They will not know that you are saving bunny lives. This was our Georgia Gives Days presentation last year in November. Georgia has, I think most states now do their own Gives Day, but if yours doesn't, you can certainly do the Giving Tuesday Day, and you have a page, and then you social media it all over the place, newsletter it, all of the communication stuff that you do, and you raise money. You must, to do a good job, you want to have a great video, and y'all can look at our video later, and you want to tell a story. That will draw them in, and they want to see what you do. Any donors going to want to know that the money they give you is being used effectively and efficiently. And we told Summer's story. It was really quite graphic. She came in, and it looked like she'd been crying blood. This was a Kookaburra, and it was fixed, and she recovered. But it was very dramatic, and we had volunteers just in tears over this bunny when she came in. And this is the after, happy and bonded. And it was such a beautiful story, and we got a lot of adoptions. Just in that week of Georgia Gives Day, this particular page brought in $16,000. So it can be done. I mean, we don't do anything special, all right? And well, all of these work differently, so I'm not going to go into how our hours work, but you can certainly sign up for yours. This now, I'm going to tell Joyce that I can tell this story, and this is about working with media, okay? It is truly important that we all can learn how to get media involved in telling our bunnies' stories. Joy told you the beautiful, heart-wrenching story of the little bunny thrown out of the car. The woman sees it being thrown out of the car. The bunny's ears road rashed off, back torn off, and the bunny's going to be okay now. That's the good news. But I said to her, "You did call the media on this story, right?" She said, "No." And I said, "Oh, Joy, what an incredible story. The media would have been all over this. I promise you that. They would have come out, they would have interviewed, first of all, the lady who saw it being thrown out of the car, who would be that witness on TV saying, I saw them do this and I did. And oh, she'll be a great, great story there on the TV. They will love that one. And then they'll interview Joy, because the lady tried to find a vet, but then found Joy, or St. Louis. And they'll interview the vet who saved this bunny's life. And then they'll come back to see the bunny well and in a happy home and do a follow-up story. Get a lot of donations, folks. Those media stories, once they want to run on live media or even in print, you post that all over. They give you links and you post it all over your social media. And it goes viral sometimes. And it can go national and even international. It's amazing. I found that out firsthand when we did a confiscation, and our PR person that we developed a relationship with called the media, and there were helicopters surrounding. It was unbelievable. The story went not just national, it had international hits. And all of y'all have these things happening. We're nothing special. It's just we developed a relationship with a PR person who has media relationships, and that makes a big difference also. So I urge you all to work that angle. Now, for the not quite as fun part, but really important, we're going to talk about 2 ways of looking at all those activities that Ann mentioned today that are very, very important for fundraising. It's just giving a name to them that may help us understand it a little bit better. And of course, I get this from Sandy. It's, you can find all of this in her info. But it's understanding the difference between transactional fundraising and transformational fundraising. Transactional, we all do. It's very important. We all do transformational. We might not just know what we're doing as well as we can. Do you want to spend all of your energy raising dollars, or would you rather spend it raising hundreds, if not thousands of dollars? Which one do we want to do? If you have the same amount of energy to raise dollars and that you can spend on raising hundreds, which would you rather do? Well, both are important, but let me talk a little bit about it. First of all, the secret to change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So think about this. This may be something a little new, maybe not, but think about what we're going to talk about with transactional and transformation. Transactional is people getting something for what they give you money for. It's something tangible. And it's like selling cookies, a golf tournament, the dinner and silent auction that most of us do that bring in a lot of money. We're doing transactional back there, silent auction. Those are all things you do in return for something. While they're friend raising, they're not necessarily huge money makers. They do fund a lot of what we do, but there's an easier way to make money. And that I'll go into a little bit later. Even our yoga, they pay $20 to come do bunny yoga. We get part of that. That's friend raising. Transactional tips though, they're important. So I'm just briefly going to let you look at these. You want to do one signature event a year. Don't spend all your energy doing different things all year. Do one and do it right. And if you can do a third-party event, do that. Set your goals. You know all of this. Do this right for your transactionals. I think most of you all know this. With transformational, though, we're going to talk a little bit more about how it can change your way of thinking about fundraising. Transformational is when someone gives you money because they like what you do. They like you. You have convinced them in some way that you can use their money efficiently and effectively. And you've done that through your stories, your communications, and what they see you have done. It's so really very important. You can read more of this. It's about building the relationships with your donors, your major donors, and also your adopters, your volunteers, your customers, your supporters, anyone who's interested in any way in what you do. The donor, I'm not going to go into all of these. It's important to read it. The most important thing down here is at the bottom. The donor is thanked for their gift, receives reports, videos, and personally directed communications. I'm going to tell you, folks, I wish I had known this information years ago because we did not do as good a job as we could have. And we still don't do as good a job as we can. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but if you start off doing it right, you'll see a huge surge in what you can get from your donors, your major donors, and everyone. It's putting the right systems in place to thank your donors. Now, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. First of all, understand transactional versus transformational. This is just a handout you can read. Start learning more about that. And then learn that transformational donors want to make a difference in saving lives. When you tell them you save bunny lives, you're going to catch them right there from the get-go. When you tell them the story of the little bunny who was thrown out of a car and is now going to live and have a home and be a happy little bunny, you can really, they'll get out their checkbook as fast as they can get it out. That's something that speaks to the heart. When you thank them, though, you're going to want to understand, they don't care anything about paying your rent, They don't care about paying the bills. They don't care if your electricity is on. They really don't care about that. And they certainly don't care about funding your budget at the end of the year for next year. That doesn't speak to them. What can you do to speak to them? You want to tell them, yeah, I'm saving lives. Keep repeating it. You can't say it enough. That's why they want to give you money. They want to be a partner with you to save lives. And you can make that happen. You're finding more forever homes. You're preventing unwanted, they love spay and neuter. I mean, that's preventing suffering. And they know that. They write checks for that. And medical. You can certainly do your pleas for medical because people are saving lives through that. It's not about our needs. It is about what our donor wants. Listen to your donors because they will tell you what they want and what they care about. People who donate transformationally, they do not want anything except a thank you. Nothing else. You don't have to worry about that. They're your biggest source of income to develop. You build the relationships, you know what they're interested in, what they care about. Develop a plan to meet their needs and keep them involved. And you can do this by getting the help, I promise you. It applies to everyone who gives to their, who gives to you and who helps the organization. All of those, the doctors, everyone. Fundraising can be simple when you know the simple tool, donor acknowledgement. But here's what they want in a link that shows great, it's going to be hard to tell you everything. I'm running out of time. So we're going to have to hurry a little bit. But there are literally thousands of websites that deal with donor relations. This was just one that I picked up, and you can read it later when you get the email. And I loved it because she gives notes. She gives a letter here, a thank you, and then she gives an after with notes. And so when you go back and read that later, it can give you some points on how to write your own thank you letters. Sandy Reese gives tons of information on that. I just want you to know the information's out there to find out how to thank your donors in the right ways. There's just literally thousands of websites. And you want to make sure you share your success stories. Super important about that. If you have a major donor, and there's differences between donors and major donors, and I'm going to show you a template for that. It's about valuing the relationship over the donation, protecting it, making friends, connecting, and building the relationship. Absolutely. How do you keep them donating? Keep a database, focus on the relationship, take the time to commit building loyalty. Absolutely. All of these are about building sustainable fundraising with loyal donors, about friends, about learning, getting attention, giving them lots of attention, especially your major donors. So how do you know the difference between a donor and a major donor? As you build the relationship, you send different kinds of thank yous. The person that donates $1 to $5 should be getting a thank you. And you'll build them into a $50 donor, and then $100. This is a simple way to start thanking donors depending on what they do donate. But remember that anyone that donates can be built into a monthly giver, as Ann mentioned today, and other levels of donating. It's really important to learn how to thank them well. Here's another template, and you can see my notes. This was from a course that I took. And that was the only template I had, so I put it in here, just for you. There's so much more to learn. Fundraising is not something to leave to an intern or a new volunteer. It's just not. It's too important because it is an investment in saving lives. So get the help you need. Understand and develop your communication plan. Tell your story and the rabbit stories. Nurture your transformational donors. Thank all of your donors. Thank them over and over and over. Your donors. Take your major donors to lunch. Call them up. Ask them how their bunnies are doing. Take care of their bunnies. Take care of their needs. Court them. Do what it takes. They're major donors. Know the difference. Also, your volunteers, never forget them. Thank them over and over in different ways. Lots of ways, lots of information out there how to do it. Your supporters, and thank them in many different ways. What does it take to grow your organization? You do have to think big, dream big, believe big. You must believe. You can fully fund your mission. It is truly possible. You just have to develop the relationships to accomplish it. Remember, you're building for the future. It's not going to happen overnight. Build for it. And develop those relationships. Think big, not nickel and dime fundraising. Quit spending all your time on garage sales and little nickel and dime stuff. Start thinking big, thanking donors. Spend your time on those thank you notes. It will pay off. You do not have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Absolutely not. Reach out for help, take that hand, and take that first step. And start saving more bunny lives than you ever dreamed possible. We all want that. Thank you. Thank you very much.